I think that the final bear trap for Bitcoin is forming. At the 140k level, a major amount of short liquidity is now piling up, and I think the bears are getting a little bit too overconfident here. So let's talk about exactly that within today's update video. We will discuss a lot more than only that, like all of the most important Bitcoin charts. We will of course discuss my open Ethereum trading position here. I will give a big update on exactly that, and of course we will take a deep dive into my outlook for altcoins and the upcoming altcoin season. So guys, from there, make sure to first of all subscribe to the channel and watch and like my latest YouTube videos, and then we can dive into the most important content. Since I'm noticing that a huge amount of short liquidity is now piling up for Bitcoin at the 140k level, but I personally think that since we are still in early Q4, there is a potential move to 130 to 140k in the tank now towards that liquidity zone for Bitcoin. As long as the market and the structure is going to stay bullish here, I do think this is going to be the final bear trap. And the bears that are getting overly confident here are maybe about to get short squeezed, since Bitcoin is actually seeing the second best October start ever. And I do think that this is a signal to us that yes, Bitcoin is going to be able to push towards that next liquidity zone here and grab all of the liquidity there to shake out the bears. But I also think that in that zone, maybe a little bit higher, it is going to be an interesting position to also open short positions, because I do think at that area Bitcoin might be topping out also. But let's see about exactly that. I do think because it's so early in Q4, this is not going to be the moment yet to short Bitcoin, and that is why I do think this is going to be a huge mistake, and this liquidity cluster is about to get grabbed by Bitcoin. Also, the Bitcoin monthly returns are showcasing that this is going to be possible, because now in October we've seen a plus 9% return, but the average is actually plus 20%, and in November it's actually even much more. So historically wise, there's definitely enough room and enough potential left for Bitcoin to move towards that next liquidity cluster. The Bitcoin weekly returns are showing exactly the same, because now we have basically the most bullish weeks from the total 4-year cycle still ahead of us in the post-halving years. So of course that is looking very good, and I'm very excited about the upcoming weeks for Bitcoin. And like stated, Bitcoin is actually seeing the second best October start ever, and it's also repeating the exact same pattern like we've seen in all the post-halving years, where for example in the Genesis year we also retest the bull market support band in September, then head higher in October. Here in 2017 exactly the same happens, here in 2021, and now in 2025. So exactly the same post-halving year scenarios repeating now, with of course Bitcoin showing even more strength in this post-halving year, which is of course only aligning more with the thesis that I think that yes, Bitcoin is still going to be able to make one final big push and final wave higher here. So that looks very good. Also, Bitcoin is lining up with the October 2020 fractal, or I should say September and October fractal, where in September we saw the low, and then eventually Bitcoin started to be heading higher, and we are seeing a very similar structure playing out here for Bitcoin in 2025. So if history is going to be repeating here, I don't think that we are going to see a move of this significance, but what I do think is that there is still room left for Bitcoin to make like a big move. For me, it would not make sense to see Bitcoin topping out at just a very small all-time high. No, I think this is the moment in the cycle where Bitcoin should be moving actually a little bit more exponential, that final wave, the final blow off top of the cycle. I do think that is going to make a lot of sense. Now, for this stage, also seasonality wise, we have this double bottom pattern for Bitcoin still playing out, where there's still a little bit of a push higher in the tank for Bitcoin. So let's see about exactly that. Bitcoin, of course, confirmed a weekly close above this symmetrical triangle, which is looking majorly bullish on the weekly time frame. So definitely quite insane. And this is, of course, showing us that Bitcoin does have a lot of potential for more upside here, because a bullish continuation pattern like this is, of course, indicating exactly that. So let's see how that will be playing out in the next few weeks from here. But I do think it is going to be good. Not only breaking out of the symmetrical triangle, but also out of the bull flag pattern on the daily here. So a lot of signals that yes, Bitcoin indeed wants to move a lot higher. And I do think that this higher high is also going to make a lot of sense for Bitcoin here in this ascending channel, and that would also align with the liquidation zone for Bitcoin, probably topping out, let's say, at 140k. Of course, we could be topping out sooner or later, but for now, at this moment, I do think the bears are just a little bit too quick with shorting Bitcoin here, and that is why this is going to be the final bear trap, and we are definitely still heading higher in this ascending channel for Bitcoin because there's still one higher high left to make here. Something that is going to help us with pushing the Bitcoin price much and much higher are these institutional inflows, because the spot Bitcoin ETFs are buying like absolutely madmen again. Yesterday we saw the second biggest Bitcoin ETF inflow ever, so institutional money is once again flooding in, and of course that is going to be pushing the Bitcoin price much higher over the next few weeks and even months here. So super excited about exactly that. And now I do want to give a big update on my Ethereum trading position, because now I'm in a 2k profit on my Ethereum position, but I think I'm going to make more money on exactly this trade. And I also do know that a lot of people have been following this trade, so if you did so, congratulations. If you did open an altcoin trade based on the thesis of this Ethereum trade, of course, also congratulations. But I do think there's still much more upside in the tank for Ethereum, and that is probably going to happen once Ethereum is truly going to push through those all-time high levels, probably a close above the 5k level, and from there I will of course also be slowly cashing out this trade. But I do also think that this is going to be one of your final opportunities to open an Ethereum trade, or it is definitely still a good opportunity, because if we zoom in on the Ethereum chart, we can clearly see that we are now reclaiming one of the most important levels for ETH, and last time we did so we saw an exponential move to the top side, and I do think something similar would make a lot of sense for also the final Ethereum wave. And my trade here with that 18k position size now, which I have been slowly DCAing in, so I have been buying on different levels. Unfortunately my 3.8k limit order did not get filled, otherwise I would be in a much bigger profit, but I'm still very happy with my trading position here. And if you do want to trade yourself also, for example, still this Ethereum opportunity, or you want to trade a lot of other altcoins, make sure to check out this 50% deposit bonus on LBANK here. You can find this with the link in the description on this update video. Once you're going to click on that link, you will get redirected to exactly this page where you can claim your 50% deposit bonus, and of course a lot of other benefits. So make sure to check that out. Still available for about 5 days. So yeah, if you're getting interested in that and do want to claim that 50% deposit bonus on LBANK to trade Ethereum or a lot of altcoin pairs, yes, check it out in the description. And also, just one more thing, you will be supporting the channel if you're going to use my link. So it's not only a benefit for yourself, but if you enjoy the update videos and you do want to support me a little bit, make sure to use that link. I would appreciate it, of course, by a lot. And now let's dive back into the Ethereum chart, because Ethereum is now moving higher from that 50 daily moving average trend line. And for the people that don't know, when Ethereum was dropping hard here, I did draw out this major buy the dip zone, and in this buy the dip zone we have been DCAing, like I stated earlier, into the Ethereum trading position, and now of course we are in a nice profit. We did draw out this buy the dip zone based on the June to May consolidation phase earlier this year, because what happened there was Ethereum breaking below the 50 daily moving average, then grabbing liquidity at the 100 daily moving average, and then from there moving higher. And that's also exactly what happened in this Ethereum move once again. Now we are moving above the 50 daily moving average, and I do still think that Ethereum could see a little bit of consolidation here before eventually heading higher. So yeah, probably we could be adding some more to our trade in the near future here, but yeah, ultimately I'm very happy with this Ethereum trade at this current moment. And now I do want to discuss the Bitcoin dominance chart, because we have been predicting on the channel that yes, in the October and also September months, the Bitcoin dominance was probably going to move a little bit higher, and that has been happening indeed for the Bitcoin dominance. I do think this could continue for maybe the next 1 to 2 weeks. Of course, it doesn't have to, but it would make a lot of sense for me, seeing more liquidity flowing back into Bitcoin pushing even a little bit more higher towards that next liquidation cluster. And from there, I do think Ethereum and altcoins will take the spotlights also later in October and most definitely in November, because that makes the most sense for example, small cap altcoins, because there we can see over the last few years, small caps altcoins do tend to start moving in the November month and not really in the October month. So keep that in mind. If your altcoins are still lagging behind a little bit, I do not think this is going to be a major warning signal. I do think it's perfectly fine. I do think that in November we are going to see the most exponential moves for altcoins. What we are seeing now is that BNB just hit another new all-time high after hitting 1.2k yesterday. Today we hit at 1.3k, and this is of course your signal that now large caps are outperforming, for example, ETH, and that is going to be the final phase before that true altcoin season. So yes guys, we are most definitely getting very close, and on the yearly perspective we are not close to an altcoin season yet, but it could go very fast from here, since now the large caps are starting to outperform. So if you still do want to take positions, if you still want to accumulate, this is probably going to be a nice moment where you can still do so before the true altcoin season is going to be kicking off. And if you're still looking for altcoin season insights and altcoin season setups, make sure to join our VIP Telegram group. Here you can find it with the link in the description on this update video to the VIP Telegram group. There you can find all our altcoin season setups, our altcoin season insights, not only from me but also from Crypto Rover and 5 professional other traders. So make sure to check it out if you're getting interested in that. And guys, that was it for today's update video also. I hope you guys enjoyed today's update video, and I will see you guys within my next update video tomorrow.